So I'll give you some very interesting answers that you can give these traditionalists, because we should actually start calling them idiots from now on. Because unfortunately,
I'm calling them idiots, don't worry.
Because they're behaving like children who don't want to believe that Father Christmas does not exist. They still hold Father Christmas is real, and this is the kind of nonsense that they're holding on to. So first of all these ancient cultures and these ancient structures are silicon-based technology. That's what they are. Silicon-based technology. Now, anyone that watches the show can go into the internet and watch one of my presentations that are free on YouTube, and you'll understand what I'm talking about, because there's not enough time to explain it on the show. So please go and check this out. This is very important information. We're dealing with advanced technology, advanced understanding of the laws of nature and how things work, with sound, resonance, and frequency. Sound and light combining to create a tremendous amount of energy. Just like the Bible says, God said, let there be light. It is the combination of sound and light that is used as a tool of manifestation of very powerful technology. Now, this is why all these ancient sites are aligned with the movements of the sun. So it's like a program that when the sun comes up in this part of, in this direction, the sunlight comes into this channel, and the light hits something inside the machine and activates the machine to do a specific function. When the sun comes up over there, the machine does something else. When the sun comes up over there, the machine does something else. And we don't quite yet know what these machines did. All we know that they were triggered by the movement of the sun. And they use silicon-based technology, silica, because silica is the main component of pretty much all stone in the world. And sometimes the silica is condensed and very compact and has far more interesting properties, like in crystals and in the granites and in the hornfels stones, and in the hornfels stones that ring like bells, that have got strong acoustic properties. So now no longer do you only have the light, but you also have the sound frequency that's associated with every light, that's in a higher frequency that's not audible, that activates the stones and it makes them vibrate and resonate. And this is why, for us to start understanding this ancient civilization, is to first understand that they had a much higher level of understanding of the laws of nature that we don't have. That information has been suppressed. And this is why the last 2,000 years or so, we have undergone a slow, methodological, and by design, suppression of knowledge and information. We've been dumbed down as a species, and this is now why we are a species with amnesia. We have no idea what's going on, who we are, where we come from, why we're here. We are so easily manipulated and controlled by media that tell us lies every minute of every day, and yet all this ancient information is right around us. So the discovery, just let me finish this here, the discovery and the realization that these ancient civilizations had an advanced knowledge of the laws of nature, and they had tools and technology that don't look like modern technology, because it didn't have to look like modern technology. They didn't leave behind, broken cars and computers, because they didn't use that kind of technology, because they didn't have to sell it to anybody. They didn't make it to sell it. They made stuff to use practically for the survival of the people, for the manipulation and the use of this planet. And then we come along as the slave species to this global elite.
Ова испаѓа дека ние сме примитивниот народ, односно првобитниот човек, а тие биле цивилизираните луѓе и поединци кои што ствари го создале.
And I need to give you an example, because some of your viewers might think, well, you're just saying this stuff. Where's the evidence? Well, this is the evidence. And you can again go onto the internet and you'll see some photographs. I'll give you some photographs to show on this show if you can. There are these stones that we find in South Africa. They look like donuts, giant stone donuts. And in South Africa, they're known as weights for digging sticks. That's what our very clever archaeologists and historians have been calling these for, for the last 500 years or so. Because they can't, obviously. They were made by people in old times. What did they know? They knew nothing. So the only realization...
To fry donuts?
Yes. So they came up with a story that, because at some stage they saw somebody with the stone around a stick digging in the field. So they reached a conclusion that the people in old times made these stones with holes in them so that they could use them as weights for their digging sticks to when they went looking for food in the field. So you go, okay, well, that is such a stupid conclusion that, you must have lost half of your brain, first of all. And secondly, when I started working with the technology and when I realized that the stone circles were energy devices, the next obvious thing was to discover what were these donut-shaped stones. And for anyone that studied science or physics or astronomy will realize that torus-shaped forms, the toroid fields, are the structure of everything in reality, everything in space, from our solar system to our galaxy to the shape of an atom and the electrons and the subatomic particles. Everything is structured according to this donut-shaped vortex fields. And that's exactly what these stones are. And we started measuring very powerful energies around these stones. We put one of these stones into a bucket of water, and we found tiny bubbles forming, thousands and thousands of bubbles forming, moving in a spiral, going into the center of the stone, into the hole, like a galaxy. And then, because I realized that these stones were probably vortex generators, vortex field generators, energy generators, and I took one of these stones to my friend Nassim Haramein in Hawaii, who works in a project called the Resonance Project. And I put the stone in my bag. We left Johannesburg via Doha International Airport. And when I was getting onto the plane in Doha headed for Chicago, the plane didn't take off, and we were sitting on the runway. And next thing they called Louise and I off the plane to say, there's something strange in your bag. You must open your bag. And I went down and I realized, oh my goodness, my stone is in my bag. So I was thinking, well, what am I going to tell them? And I opened the bag, and all these guys with guns are looking at me, opening my bag next to the big airplane. Everyone's waiting for the plane to take off. And I told them, oh, it's African curios, African collectibles, arts and crafts for my friend in Hawaii. And then they were very confused by this, and eventually I closed the bag, went back onto the plane, and Louise told me that when the captain came out of the cockpit to inquire why the plane was not taking off and why these people with guns were going through my bag, he told Louise that whatever is in that bag crashed the TSA security system. Now, that is overwhelming evidence that the stone is a very powerful energy generating device. Yeah. And it gives off some sort of an electromagnetic pulse or an electromagnetic signal that must have crashed the TSA security system when they were scanning the bag. And that must have confused them. Just like in the movie Ocean's 11, remember in Las Vegas, when they put out the lights,
they cut electricity,
cut the power with a giant electromagnetic pulse. I think the same kind of thing happened with my stone. When you put a frequency into the middle of that stone, it amplifies it, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I've got some interesting evidence from scientists in Germany that have done some study on this stone of mine, and send me information via email that these stones generate over 3,500 decibels of energy, just sitting there, not doing anything. It emanates more than 3,500 decibels of energy.
Това значи дека нашите предци биле за нас не гениалци, него вонземјани.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly what all the researchers from Eric von Däniken, Zachariah Sitchin, all the researchers that go into this research of ancient civilizations reach the same conclusions. All the knowledge we have comes from people from the stars. And this is, again, all the ancient cultures, if you look at the original people of Australia, of Asia, of the Americas, of Africa, all the ancient cultures tell you our ancestors come from the stars. And this was part of the disinformation that was beaten out of the people, starting with the colonizers in the late 1400s. When they started going to the Americas and to Asia and Africa, the first thing they did is make it illegal for the people to practice their own religion, outlaw their own history, and replace their religion with the Bible. And this is how they destroyed over 500 years the traditional history, the ancient knowledge kept by the knowledge keepers of all the ancient people and the native people of the world, replaced it with Eurocentric belief systems, Eurocentric religions, and in a sense, this is how they created a species with amnesia.
Тоа беше мојот гост Мајкл Телинџер во мојата емисија Milenko Nedelkovski шоу, дојден од Јужна Африка, овде специјално во Македонија, да се представи себе си, својата Ubuntu филозофија, движење, партија, меѓутоа и дел од своите истражувања. Според мене, една здрава емисија во врска со археолошките истражувања всушност лежи во него. Меѓутоа, јас пак бев должен овдека да го изложам она што тој во овој момент најмногу се занимава и најголемиот дел од енергијата ја троши, а тоа е правење една Ubuntu заедница која би можела да донесе просперитет и радост во светот. А во контекст на она што и јас се залагам, а тоа е бегање и уништување на банките и монетарниот систем. Јас лично многу одамна имам решено да немам во банките пари и да не функционирам со кредитни картички и било какво друг начин, затоа што сметам дека со моите пари, кои се ги штедам во банката, 1000 денари, 1000 евра, всушност директорот на банката или менаџерите на банката со моите пари се прават газди, собственици, гоничи на робови. Со тоа што далеку сум од ова што Мајкл Телинџер го има направено, тоа е објаснување на цела филозофија, цел начин на живење, што всушност не е негова измислица. Напротив, туку е една традиција на народ кој живее на територијата на неговата држава. Иако он многу интересно е по потекло Чех, татко му е од Украина, а мајка му е од Бохемија и така, значи има една комбинација, меѓутоа како мало дете однесе во Јужна Африка. Се согласувам со него и верувам дека никој не може да го побие фактот дека на сите континенти, сите домородци, сите доедни племиња живееле без убивање, без војна, без злосторства, во една хармонија, додека не дошле европјаните да ги ослободат и да ги цивилизираат. Мајкл, твојот последен збор во оваа емисија?
Thank you very much for bringing me out here to share my research and philosophy with you and the people of Macedonia. I hope that this philosophy finds its way into the hearts and the minds of the people of your country and spills over into the neighboring countries and starts to resonate with the people, so that we can start planting the seeds of consciousness of this very simple philosophy that is, I believe, the foundation and the fundamental right of every living, breathing human being to live happily, peacefully, in harmony, and in abundance, on a planet of abundance and not a planet of scarcity. So thank you very much for bringing me out here, and may this resonate with everyone that watches the show.
Тоа беше Мајкл Телинџер. Им благодарам на Никола Деков и Тања Каракамишева. Мислам дека слушнавме стварно работи кои вреди. Благодарам на публиката која беше овде.
Не се повторува како беше.
Мајкл Телинџер, thank you very much. Се надевам дека во најскоро време ќе се видиме во Јужна Африка.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Се гледаме следниот петок. Бидете живи и здрави до тогаш. Миленко Неделковски шоу во овој момент завршува. Следниот петок повторно во ист термин на иста телевизија со ист водител, за жал по неколку мина овде во Македонија.